Madam Chair, I have an amendment at the desk.
Mr. King is recognized. The clerk will report the amendment.
Which amendment, sir?
The amendment that goes to page 15, I believe it is, designated number 86, I think.
Page 15, beginning line 24, strike business concerns owned and controlled by women, small. Page 16, beginning line 2, strike and small business concerns owned and controlled by minorities.
Yes, unanimous consent that the amendment be considered as read without objection, so ordered. The amendment, Mr. King is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to start this out. I recognize that we likely have a legitimate philosophical disagreement on how to approach these issues. As I look at this, the underlying bill, and evaluate its impact on Americans, it occurs to me that I have a philosophical position that I have long held, that we should guarantee equal opportunity for all and special preference for none. And this bill, of course, sets aside women and minorities as part of it. Those are special preferences. That runs directly contrary to a deeply held conviction that I have. But I just make that point, and I don't intend to deliberate that. I think that's known. And I'd rather focus that this amendment does this, that it sets aside then and reserves the resources in the programs for our disabled veterans and our underserved areas. And I think it's clear that the underserved areas have far less access, and we need to do a more aggressive outreach to the underserved areas. And that's I think that's a unanimous position in here. It wouldn't be in the bill in the first place. And so I'd like to focus those resources on the underserved areas, but also on our disabled veterans. And if there's any group in America that has paid a very high price for serving our country, and that needs and deserves and legitimately deserves the kind of support that this underlying bill would direct to, it's our disabled veterans. So I think I would ask this committee to view this amendment as an amendment that focuses the resources in the most essential places, that being in the underserved areas and our disabled veterans, and recognizing our philosophical disagreement with the categories that I'm compelled to ask be removed from this bill because there's no other way to write the amendment. And I think everybody understands the amendment and where I stand on it, and I would urge its adoption and yield back the balance of my time.
The chair recognizes herself. And let me just say, Mr. King, I think that in this committee, we work in a bipartisan way. And I just want to say that these amendments were sent to our committee at 10 o'clock this morning. We have a process for members to send to us the amendments. But in any case, we allow for the amendment to be offered. We do have a ideological difference on this one. The purpose of this bill is to broaden the talent pool, and that includes women, minorities, and you don't mention veterans and rural areas that are also included in this bill, and it is the focus of this bill. The face of America is changing. We have to provide resources for more women to be able to participate, for minorities to be able to participate. The intent of this bill is not only to provide for small firms to have the resources to do the research and investigation and come up with products that could be commercialized, and this way creating jobs. So I oppose to this amendment, and I would ask for the members to vote against it.
Would the gentlelady yield? Sure. As I listen to your position, which I respect, I'm curious as to, I recall the majority opinion that was written by the United States Supreme Court in the University of Michigan cases of affirmative action, written by Justice O'Connor, a woman on the Supreme Court. And I disagreed with her opinion, and yet I recall that she wrote in that opinion that perhaps there would be a time in the future, perhaps 25 years in the future, where we could go back and revisit and where we'd no longer justify preferences. And I would ask if you've entertained such a thought, or do you believe that
Mr. King,
in perpetuity?
will you yield?
Well, yes,
With all due
thank you for
respect,
yielding to me.
This has nothing to do with preferences. This has everything to do with outreach, to broaden the talent pool in this nation. What is wrong with that?
If the gentlelady would yield. I disagree with it having to do with preferences. It clearly labels women and minorities in the bill, so I'm surprised at that response, but I understand the gentlelady's position, and I prefer not to press it further.
Are there any other member who seek to be recognized on this amendment? Yeah, Mr. Schroeder.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Chair, I totally agree with your position, and I would hope discriminating against women and minorities would not be a policy of this committee. Thank you.
Seeing no other, any other member who seek recognition? Seeing no other members seeking recognition, the question is on the King Amendment. All those members in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.